Alright, getting into my April bullet journal. I think this was my most colorful month. I definitely had a lot of colors and designs. I was even able to use a few stickers that I got from work. This was my most busy month, and I super enjoyed everything that happened. It is now June when I am posting this, so it's way so super late, but I definitely got to use my bullet journal the way I had expected and intended to this month, especially. And that was very exciting for me. And it let me know what worked and what didn't work in my bullet journal system. I definitely made a lot of changes in April, especially because I know I didn't use much of my bullet journal in March. I wanted to make sure that I used April a lot more. So I definitely made some changes that suited my lifestyle, and I definitely filled it out a whole bunch more too. Anyways, with that being said, let's get into the April bullet journal setup. Alright, let's get into my April bullet journal spread. This month, I definitely tried to use the ruler more frequently. I think I can draw straight lines. I cannot. And I wanted this journal to look a whole lot better because when I had done my March bullet journal, I did not use that spread like at all. And for many, many reasons. So I decided to try and make this one look a whole lot nicer so I was more encouraged to use it because I was like, if it's pretty, I want to use it. Anyways, the first box is going to be things that made me happy this month, and then the other box next to that is going to say things to remind myself of. So sometimes when I'm, having a really good day, I can write in my box, like, remember, the sun is bright. And honestly, that makes me happy. In the second level, I have my reading journal log. I have been really getting into audiobooks, and I want to keep track of all the books that I read or listen to, and so I want to mark that down. So I have a box for my reading log, and then I also, right next to that, is a one sentence summary or recap, so that way I remind myself what it is that I read, and I work on my brain muscles. Anyways, the row after that, it's gonna be 3 different boxes. One is going to be for my completed projects. The other one's going to be a code log. I want to get into coding, and I want to log to see how often or how frequently I do that. And so I have my code log. Did I code this month? No, I did not. Did I code for the next 4 months? I have yet to, but I will eventually get back on it. I bought a book, and I really like the book, but it's been some time since I've gotten back on it. So I'll do that eventually. And then the box after that, I think that's just like a inspirational image page, or little box. So my inspirational image box is supposed to be little images or colors that I add because it just felt like it belonged, like this month was very much so about colors, family, and earth. So it's just a little spot for me to doodle in because I want to try and get better at drawing. I definitely took a lot of time to do this April cover page. They look silly. This little bunny on the side looks silly, but I absolutely loved it, and this is probably my favorite so far. I'm not the best at drawing, but I definitely enjoyed the little doodles that I made. I added a bunch of Easter eggs, added a bee, I've got the stem for flowers. This was a very colorful page, but it was a very neat, colorful page, unlike March. March was rough. Anyways, just watch me color. Alright, now we're going to be getting into my calendar layout. I absolutely love my calendar layout. Something about it just feels so right. So for the month of April, I split it into 7 columns and 5 rows. And this page is my absolute favorite because of the way that I write out my daily habits. I talk about this in my previous videos. I do want to keep track of certain daily habits, but I don't want to dedicate a full page to my daily habits. I kind of just want it to be a little more convenient. So the way that I incorporate my daily habits onto my calendar page is by creating a color coordinating section. So for example, I've got a pretty high streak in Duolingo right now, and so to keep track of whether or not I do my Duolingo, I like to mark it in the color green because the Duo bird is green. And so when I make my rows, on the first line where I put the date, I just use that section to color coordinate any activities that I did that I wanted to keep track of that day. In my previous video, I did show a pretty good example of what that would look like since I was pretty far behind on making that video too. And then, yeah, that's just the way I do it. It's the way I like it. I've been doing it that way. I probably will continue to do it that way until I find something else that just fits right. Anyways, on the same page, I also have my April goals. So I will write down anything that I hope to achieve during my time in April. Next, we'll be getting into my weekday setup. I had made some changes from last month into this month because I really did not like last month's. I am so sad and disappointed by how that one came out because of my lack of use of it. So this month I did the layout into 5 different rows. That way I can focus on making the spaces for each row bigger, and that gave me a chance to write down in these brackets a spot for me to do a little journaling or write something that happened that was significant during the day. Something that made me happy, something that made me mad, something that just in general happened. Again, working on those brain memory muscles so I can do active recall. On the next page, I have my breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. I just want to keep track of what it is that I'm putting in my body so I can be more mindful. Then I have a sleep log. I am trying to get better about going to sleep earlier so I can wake up sooner. I am a morning person generally, but sometimes it's so hard to get up in the morning, and that's because I go to bed so late. So I want to try and work on that. And then I've got my workout schedule. For me, working out, I really just mean activity. Even if that means like 30-minute walk or like 30 minutes of dancing, it's activity. I want to work on activity. And then of course my cat comes by. Both of my cats were just running by me all the time, all day, during this entire video. They wouldn't stop. Here comes the other one. They were just walking across me, as usual. Anyways, these next 2 boxes are my daily schedule, my mood tracker, and then my weekly review. So I do a full recap of the pages, so go ahead and watch that. Alright, the most important thing to remember, and I'm always going to say it, whenever you make a bullet journal, you want to make it to your style. So I love seeing colors, but as you could see in my previous video in March, I used colors on every page, and I think that was way too much for me. I think it just, and sometimes having clean lines also makes it feel better. So for me in my bullet journal, I wanted to have color, but I wanted it to be in pieces, and I wanted it to overall feel very clean. And so in these next few months I use outlines in black, and then I just add color through little doodles I add or the stickers that I add, and that definitely helped me, I think, use my bullet journal a whole lot more. Or highlighting. I did a lot of highlighting in April, but comparably in March I just don't think it looked as professional, and so then I didn't really want to use it, which professional is a big word, but it doesn't look as clean. Despite having straight lines, the lines were in color, and it just didn't look as neat. So April I definitely adjusted, and I continue to make that adjustment in later months. But the most important thing when making a bullet journal is making it for you and your needs. So don't be afraid to, you see a style, you like it, you can try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to stick with it. And I think that was an issue I had when making bullet journals. I had no idea where to start until I just kept with something. Even though I knew I didn't like it, I was like, well, it's not that I don't like it, it's because I'm just getting new to a bullet journal. Yes. Yeah, no. Anyways, have fun creating your next bullet journal, and hopefully watch the next video. Bye!